I'm Jumper555, and today I'm continuing my series of MASH retro reviews for Season 5, Episode 16, 38 Across. So, this episode, Hawkeye finds a crossword puzzle, so he decides that's what he's going to do, and they do it except for one last clue, 38 Across, and the hint is a Yiddish word for bed bugs. No one knows it across the camp, so Hawkeye decides to call his friend who's a doctor on the USS Essex, and, well, radio communication is bad, and he was expecting his friend just to call back instead of, showing up and bringing an admiral with him. And the admiral is the one who knows what the word is, which was, Vance, by the way, in case you're curious. But I just love that the person who's supposedly an expert at crosswords doesn't know it, but the admiral who's like, you brought us here for a crossword puzzle, is the person who correctly answers it. And then, of course, Hawkeye's friend, whose name is Cox, by the way, is, scared to get in trouble, obviously. Hawkeye, the puzzle's finished, kind of, and goes run to tell BJ so they can fill it in. And I should also mention, too, Cox and Hawkeye's friend, and then thus by extension the admiral, saw it was a medical emergency, so that's why they came. They do end up helping out because an actual medical emergency happens while they're there, because a gasoline truck got spilled over. The Koreans were sopping it up so they could get gasoline-soaked rags to use as lamps, and somebody lit a match. Yeah, you can see what happened. Burn victims. And so they do all that, and there's this, I would say, this beautiful scene, not beautiful in the sense of anything in particular, but beautiful in the sense of what it's saying, like, because they're listening over the radio to, Soul City Suits, so propaganda, try to, discourage the UN forces, Americans, all that jazz, and, with blatantly faced propaganda, claiming Hawkeye is a war criminal because he did, surgery on a wounded Chinese prisoner that they exchanged for American prisoners. Blatantly lied about the situation, saying it was experiment, yada yada. It's all propaganda. And that was like, we should do some propaganda of our own. The US is probably already doing propaganda, there's that. But the idea is, claim that those Korean burn victims were done in a Chinese attack. And Hawkeye is like, no, I'm outraged, but we gotta put it into it somehow. And that, I kind of liked it because that's like, yeah, Hawkeye hates it, but he's like, I'm not going to hit back because where does it stop? And the admiral does see that logic, like, yeah, if you keep on hitting back, it probably will never actually end up stopping. Which is actually quite surprising that an admiral saw that of all things. But it is very much in line with, I would say, the mentality of MASH, anti-war, always, especially with Hawkeye, who's always thumbing his nose at the wall. So for him, like, yeah, sure, you could do that, but they're just going to clap back with more propaganda. Someone has to stand up and put an end to that chain. That's Hawkeye's thinking. And honestly, I do get it. I do very much get that mentality. I should also say, Klinger tries another stunt to get out of the army in this episode, eating a jeep, which makes him sick. But the minute he's wounded, he's able to overcome feeling ill from eating a jeep and is right there at work. That's Klinger for you. But I do find that kind of funny that he's sick enough not to continue, just to lay around for a little bit, but not sick enough to help the injured Koreans. Granted, one, that's kind of within his character, where any kind of stunt he's doing, he will just stop the minute people actually need help. So that's very much consistent with his character. Makes me wonder, was he actually eating a jeep? Actually, I do wonder, what were they doing in this filming itself? Because that motor oil sure looks like maple syrup to me. Though, they clearly always cut away whenever Klinger actually has to swallow something. So he's clearly not swallowing anything. But I do kind of wonder, what did they do for the purpose of filming? And I think that would be quite interesting to learn, and sadly that does not seem to have been noted on the Wikia. But another thing I liked is its name, 38 Cross, because North and South Korea were divided by the 38th parallel. So, and supposedly that's roughly where MASH 4077 is in terms of where those geographically stationed very close to the 38th parallel. So it's just a neat thing all across the board. Also, too, because they mentioned an actual U.S. Navy warship, the USS Essex, an aircraft carrier, we know when its actual deployments were in the Korean War. So we can give 2 potential time frames for this episode. So August 51 to March of 52, or July of 52 to January of 53. So a good chunk of the Korean War, so that doesn't help us with time dating this episode. Not that we can actually time date anything in MASH, because continuity is an option for MASH, especially event continuity and having a consistent timeline. This show ain't for that. There's other shows if you want to be particular about that kind of stuff. But that's what I got to say. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching my latest retro review. I do hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please be sure to give this video a like. Also, consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't done so already, and I hope to see you for my very next video.